Dun 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 dun! Cat time! I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode because today, as you've already seen the title, we're going to be talking about Refugee by Alan Gratz, one of the best-selling books of all time. So, let's get started. Oh, you want to go? Okay, you are allowed to. Ow, ow, no claws! Wait a second. Refugee is a novel by Alan Gratz about three refugee stories about three kids, both generations apart, but somehow sometimes go to the same place, but not at the same time, obviously, because, they're generations apart, yeah. And they do a lot of things, and they end up trying to flee from war or persecutions, or even sometimes a bad thing, too. Refugee has these three characters named Joseph, Isabel, and currently the Mamand, whose the Civil War is still ongoing, which is this Civil War was probably the hardest to actually write about because it's happening right now. And if my voice is a little different because my voice is actually deeper than the voice that I get from the microphone there, it's actually... I'll worry about that later. One more thing I should say is that Refugee has so many stories. Of course, these characters are fictionless, although some of them are actually based on real characters. They're family members, at least, and other people in the book itself. Another thing about this is that these events have probably happened to one person at the same time. I should point out that Isabel's case, where the riots happened, and Fidel Castro allowing Cubans to exit if they want to, didn't happen at the same time, or at least simultaneously at least. It actually happened months apart, but according to Alan Gratz, in the explanation at the behind, which according to the contents was written as author's notes, I guess that works, has a great idea. It's actually, he just put it together so that they were right next to each other on the timeline so that it would add more dramatic effect. Well, I actually didn't expect that. I actually thought that they happened at the same time. The book actually starts with Joseph. This boy named Joseph, who actually is from Germany, and he's Jewish. His whole family is Jewish, and he's fleeing the Nazis because the time of the setting is 1938. His chapters end during 1940 when his mother is forced to decide whether to save her son or her daughter. Her daughter was the younger, and her name was Ruth. And we later actually meet the older version of Ruth in the last final chapter of the book, which is Mamon's chapter in 2015. So let me get this straight. If she was like 6 in 1938, then let me do the math here. She's 77 years old by the time it is 2015 and she meets Mamon. So that's actually pretty interesting. One of these other things, let's now start talking about Isabel because we already talked about Mamon. I'll go back to Mamon later, but for now, I won't try to make as many spoilers as possible. For Isabel, she plays the trumpet and she has to trade it with a kitten for gasoline so that their homemade boat, which actually is more like a death coffin according to them, for them to actually sail all the way to Miami, Florida, where they actually end up. Their only destination is somewhere in Florida, but yeah, I think you get it. Back then, the borders are closed, but Fidel Castro, as I already explained, left the borders open so that anyone is allowed to go outside but not come in. Exception with police officers from Cuba. And it turns out family members who were trying to escape were police officers because they were drafted. And so they were trying to get shot, but somehow they survived. About 3 out of every 5 people who tried to make this journey died. More than half of the people who made this journey died. And because of that, I guess that's why he had to murder Ivan. Why not someone else? I'm not sure, probably it's because according to himself, he's evil! And that's about it. Yay! they actually reach there. And during the oceans, during the place of the U.S., during the waters right near the Florida, where they could actually see the coast of Florida, they gave birth, her mother actually gave birth to a baby brother called, well, Mariano the second, because their grandpa, or Lito as they called him, was also called Mariano. So I guess he's more like Mariano Jr., but then again, the father is not Mariano, so he's probably Mariano the second. That's about it. And that's all I'm going to say. One more point I shall make here is that all of these stories are intertwined. Joseph tries to flee to Cuba, but is not allowed to cross because of a guard or a police, or more like a police officer, stopping him, holding him, and doing his job to say, like, sorry, you're not allowed here. These people are allowed because they have supervisors in here and they've already been here for a while. I'm sorry, but you are not allowed in here. I feel like I was Gladys for a second. And it turns out that police officer was Lito from Isabel's story. Lito was Isabel's grandpa, so Isabel and Joseph technically have a connection here. Then, well, Mammond, he has a connection to Joseph because Mammond flees all the way, like crossing 5 countries to get all the way to Berlin, Germany. There he is put in, there he was actually adopted by a Jewish German family. Also, I mean, Muslims and Jewish people were actually kind of fighting for a while, I guess. So that was kind of weird, and I guess he said I need to get used to this weird stuff. And one of the family members who took them in was an elderly woman who was 77 years old, and I've already explained it to you guys, Ruth, Joseph's baby sister, who was left in the wild to fend for herself because Joseph made the choice that he's going to the concentration camp with his mom. And they get separated because women's concentration camp, man's concentration camp. I mean, technically it's called a man because 13 years old is when you become adulthood. Is adulthood during Jewish times, I guess. That actually seems weird, but I'm not going to argue. One more thing I will say is that all of these stories are intertwined not just because of the family members that have been together, but because of where they end up and their common cause and their common goal, which is to find a place of freedom where they can be in peace, where their family will be together, and where their greatest dreams are actually possible to do without being arrested, that is. And that is the end of the video. And about the Syrian civil war still happening now, what can you do? What can I do? Or what can you do to help the cause? Well, technically, you can also help donate some money to the UN. And GRATZ did that because some of the money he got, part of the money he got from selling a refugee was sent to the Syrian civil war to help the refugees. And I guess you could try that too. Hope our side wins. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next book review. I hope to see you guys in the next one, and I'll see you soon. Now, Peppa Peace. Did I say Peppa Pig? Bye.